What if I tell you that Brunei's most powerful story isn't written in books, but preserved in the very rocks beneath our feet? Good evening, everyone. My name is Afiq, and I'm a geologist. That means I spend most of my time staring at rocks, mapping hillsides, drilling through mud, clay, and stone, and sometimes getting my welly stuck in swamps. But what I've discovered is this: geology isn't just about rocks, it's about time, it's about memory, it's the science of the earth and its history. It's the long story of our land, stories that shapes our past, stories that shapes our present, and stories that will guide our future. Beneath Brunei lies an archive, millions of years old. Each rock layer is like turning a page from an ancient book. Layers of sand turning into stone might whisper of vanished shorelines. White sand, seemingly ordinary, but has the potential to be extracted for technology. A sudden bend or cracks might guide us. Shows that the earth once shook, and the earth shows that it has shook to a great force. Within those cracks, oil and gas collected, which later becomes the heart of our economy. And yet people see the ground just as ground, forgettable and unmoving. What lies beneath our feet is full of stories, if you know how to listen. Let me take you back to hundreds of years ago, before concrete buildings, bridges, and highways. Bruneians lived on water. Kampong Air, our water village. But why? The answer once again is geology. Along the meandering Brunei River, the land was unstable. Thick jungles, swampy grounds, and inaccessible hills. The river, however, was different. It offered a natural base, a link for trade, and a safe community center. It makes sense to live above the water. But as the years goes by, we began to reshape that story. We began to move inland, expanding land and stabilizing slopes. The way we settled this land is at its core a geological story. Let me take you to the story of Jong Batu, a rising rock formation in the middle of the Brunei River, shaped almost like a sinking ship. When I was young, I was told the folklore of Jong Batu, a cautionary tale about defiance, an unfilial son, and a mother's curse, turning the son's ship into stone. People would avoid going to Jong Batu, warning that whoever comes close might suffer misfortunes. But years later, when I grew up, when I overlaid geological maps onto the area, a different story began to emerge. The reason why Jong Batu was in the middle of the Brunei River was not because of magic, but geology. Over time, nearby hills had worn away by wind and water, what was once a valley becoming a river. Jong Batu was simply a stubborn remnant of those ancient changes. a hard rock left standing in the middle of the Brunei River, while everything else around it had worn away. It was dangerous, it was an inconvenience, and ships could collide with it, and accidents could happen. And so, to explain this hazard, our ancestors used the Jong Batu folklore to deter people from it. But now, with the lens of science, we see it differently. Instead of using the Jong Batu folklore, we now make use of floating light markers to warn mariners of its presence. The Jong Batu folklore and the geology together is trying to say the same thing, that the landscape beneath us is always speaking, if you know how to listen. Today, our task is to carry both lessons. While our ancestors used the Jong Batu folklore, but now we use geology and science to make sure people are safe and the environment respected. That brings me to today's theme this year, which is tradition forward, bridging heritage and modernity. Geology is that bridge. Our ancestors knew this land intuitively. Today, we use satellites, drones, and ground scanning tools to measure what's underneath our surface. But the story hasn't changed. We are still trying to understand what lies beneath our feet. But tradition and modernity speaks different languages, but they echo the same truth. To live, to survive, we must live with the land, not on top of it. Geology has also shaped Brunei's economy. Today, Brunei's wealth relies on oil and gas. But that was not the beginning. The British mined coal in Mora in the 1800s, the first mineral industry in Brunei. Then came oil in 1929 in Syria. But it wasn't sophisticated technology that found oil first. It was human eyes seeing the oil seeping through the ground. That moment shaped our nation forever. But our geological wealth does not end with oil and gas. We have other potential mineral resources. New discoveries point us forward, such as the white sands of Tutong, potential for high-value industries, such as glass, electronics, and solar panels. Geology is the quiet partner of Brunei's economy. From coal to oil, from white sand to other potential mineral resources, our land has always provided the foundation of our livelihoods. And if we manage it wisely, it will continue to do so for many generations to come. And it's not just the economics. Our infrastructure, we rely on the resources beneath the ground. In order for us to build the roads, the bridges, the highways, we need resources from the very ground in Brunei, such as sand and gravel. Our water security relies on understanding how the river flows so that we could build dams. Our disaster response relies on our understanding of landslides, tremors, and earthquakes. Begins with reading the ground with high-tech sensors. It's not just science, it's survival, it's policy, it's planning, and we all need to work together in order to understand what truly lies beneath our feet. And we are not alone. We work regionally through ASEAN. and the Coordinating Committee in Geosciences Program in East and Southeast Asia, the CCOP. We share geological data and expertise across borders. Together, we improve policies in mining, and as well, Bruneians, we participate in their capacity building programs. But why? Because geology does not respect borders. A rock formation in Brunei might span as far as Kalimantan, Sabah, and Sarawak. It can even span across the seas. In order for us to understand what lies beneath our feet, we have to connect regionally and think globally. But here's the problem. Geology is invisible. We walk on it every day, but we rarely think about it. We teach our children about art, history, and languages, but not about the land beneath their feet. In order for Brunei to move towards a sustainable future, we need to create awareness. Entrepreneurs, engineers, policymakers, and students need to understand that geology is not boring. It is literally the foundation of every choice we make. Geology helps to look for the resources needed to produce the technology we use every day, such as your phones, your laptops, your tablets. We celebrate these devices, but we rarely think about the resources that make them possible. And so, my call today is simple. Next time you walk by a beach, a river, or a hillside, stop and ask yourself, what is this land trying to tell me? As University Brunei Darussalam celebrates 40 years of blending tradition and innovation, I want to leave you with this message. Beneath our feet lies not just soil and stone, but a vast archive of memory, potential, and meaning. If you learn to read it, geology can be our compass. It can help protect communities, diversify our economy, and honor our traditions. It can guide Brunei towards sustainable, grounded, and deeply rooted in who we are. Because geology isn't just about rocks, it is our legacy, it is our future. Thank you very much for listening.